The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is The Loud List, where our random, rowdy, and raunchy band of misfits create top 10 lists of life's most insane shit. Be scared. Nothing is off limits. So congratulations.
You just made the list!
So, take two. We're going to try this again because, well, my PC decided to be a cunt and drop audio. So this gentleman is going to introduce himself, who he is, a little bit about his background, and I will tell you what it is we're going to be discussing, and we're going to get into this laundry list that I sent this gentleman that he had to do all kinds of cool, probably research and other crap on. So tell him who you are, brother.
Well, I am known as Steve Sxaks. Some may know me as the man, the myth, the legend. Some call me the Reed Richards of Philadelphia hip-hop. Lifelong punk rocker, audio engineer, touring musician, and now author of The Invasion of the Punk Rockers Who Drink Blood. So when I was told that there was a punk rock, pop punk top 10 list that we could do, I got pretty excited. So now we're here to sort through this mess.
So what this list is I created a list a long time ago, and I have one for metal as well. But this is the punk one. This is the pop punk one, more or less. It's a little bit of punk, but mostly pop punk. This was the top 20 pop punk records that I adore, personally. These are lesser known records. These are not the Green Days, the Good Charlottes, the Alkaline Trios. There's no Bad Religion, Anti-Flag, Rise Against, any of that kind of stuff on here. This is going to be the bands that put out certain records that at the time just caught my attention, and I kind of fell in love either with the band or with this particular record. And we're going to do 10 of them today. And there's at least 5 records on this list that I listen to practically every single day, whether I'm driving to Meijer, driving to Walmart, driving to Speedway, going to garage sales, whatever. I got the windows down, cranking one or all of these records.
There's a handful of these that I was also listening to before you even sent me this list. And there's some that I'm closer to than others, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, there's 3 records on this list that are like major to me.
Right.
That the people of my hometown on more than one occasion have caught me at a red light screeching out the, the vocals for this. So we're just going to bulldoze our way through this list. And I just got them in the order that he sent to me. So the very first one we're going to talk about is the band Mest. They are a Chicago area band featuring Tony and Matt Lovato, which is their cousins. Tony is the singer. Matt is the bassist. They're pretty much the main two that have been with the band the entire time. And their second CD, or their debut CD actually, was called Wasting Time. And I found this in one of the bargain bins at a record store, one of the runs where they drill the hole in it for like $1.50, $2.
Right.
And the cover just kind of spoke to me, And I thought, it's going to be one of them records that's either really good or really bad. And I bought it, stuck it in the CD player in the car, and immediately, like from the first note, I was like, oh, this is fucking great. And just each song got better and better as it goes along. And here I am, damn near 25 years later with this record, and it is just as great. I listen to this record literally almost every single day. There were 4 songs on this record that I just screech at the top of my lungs. I would never call myself a great singer, but
You're like my boy Draco, because he loves Mest. He was just here recording an album with me, and we talked about them a lot. And I think that how you found Mest is how a lot of people did, because I feel like that's how I got this album too, at like a record store, like the Dollar Bin or something like that. But I saw them open up for Social Distortion at the TLA. I don't know if you remember that tour. This might have been
not that particular show, but I remember them
on the tour.
Social
Yeah, they
Distortion.
did a pretty big tour. I want to say it was them and maybe like Frank Turner when he was first really coming out. That could have been two separate tours. I've seen Social D with so many different bands. I saw Social D with Lucero. I've seen Social D
Nice.
with the Junkyard Baby. I've seen them with so many different bands that they kind of blend together because it's always the same show, the same jokes. But
The only band I've ever seen Social Distortion with was Tiger Army.
oh, I love Tiger Army. Such a great live band. Nick is awesome. But with Mest, I remember that, at the time I wasn't like, I had the album and I thought it was cool, but it was like, it wasn't my favorite. I think like I said, I picked up at like a dollar bin and I was like, it's cool. But seeing them live really sold me on them. Like they were great live. And I came to the conclusion that they were kind of like the poor man saves the day. Who the first first saves the day record only. That's the only one I count the first two, but after that they lose me a little bit. But them being from Jersey and me being from Philly, they were always kind of around.
Right.
And Mest like vocally sounds like those first two Saves the Day albums. And
Do that.
live they kind of had a similar thing going on. They grabbed me there. So I really enjoyed them after that. With this particular record, like listening to it now, this is probably the most I've listened to it in years. And I am a little, again, as an audio engineer, audio nerd now, some of the recording is very disappointing.
Yeah.
So
there's a couple of them that I caught that were a little.
But yeah. Going back on now, some of these I still listen to a lot, but I actually really enjoyed going back on this Mest album. It's gonna hit my rotation again. It's 2004 all over again.
That's the thing with me. Now that I'm doing these dual degrees, and I have more media communications than I have music production, but I've done enough music production now to where I listen to stuff differently. And stuff that I didn't know about previously that I know now, I hear things in the mix, or I hear things, here or there. And records that I used to love and adore, I listen to now, and I'm just like, oof, yeah, that the perfect example of that is Pretty Boy Floyd, A Leather Boys with Electric Toys. And that was produced by Howard Benson. Howard Benson is a fucking genius. Papa Roach, Escape to Fate, so many killer bands. But that record, according to my very good friend who worked for the label at the time, MCA basically gave Howard Benson about $50,000 to make that record. And it shows. Because when you listen to now, when you listen to it now, it just sounds so thin and so plastic.
Right.
And, the first Papa Roach record, which came out a year and a half after that one, is flawless almost. And like, okay, so it wasn't a matter of him learning a whole bunch of stuff between point A and B. It was simply the fact that, the man gave them what they paid for, which was, a really terrible sounding production of songs that would have been really amazing with a better production. Because I still love the songs, but it's just, you get what you pay for, I guess.
It happens. And again, too, now what I've really noticed is being in this. So I'm almost 20 years in as an engineer and, professionally. I was, of course, doing it like on my own before that. But the technology has gotten so much better. And there's so much less room for error now. You could record a full band in your house and it actually sound pretty decent.
I've done that.
Right. Yeah, right. Before, even we were talking about, here not being at my studio, I have like the Universal Audio Volt 76 and it's awesome. It's the 4-channel one. It has the compressor, the 76 compressor on it. This thing is maybe $400 or something like that. And it's like studio quality preamps with a compressor on it. That just was not possible even when we first started. They had those like Presonus blue boxes. They had the M box and just crap. Like any like at home interface was a piece of junk. And now for even the Scarlett 2i2, there's hits on the Scarlett that are out right now, So going back to this Mess project, like my favorite song here is Forget You. Like that's my favorite song, and listening to it, the vocals are just kind of dug under the cymbals a little bit. There's just some conflicting things that it's like, it's like I like this album. I just wish I could get my hands on it and tweak it a little bit. But stuff like that just doesn't seem to happen as much. And also, too, one thing, mixing is such a product of the time. You know what I mean? Like, so whatever sounded good at that time was what was happening. And still now to this day, I mean, we went through the loudness wars where, I don't know if you've heard of that term, but the loudness
Robinson era.
Basically, everybody was getting into this. Nobody really knew what they were doing, but they just noticed that if you turn things up louder, it just sounded better. So instead of like EQing and then bring it all up at the end, they just turned every single thing up, and then you just had these insanely peaking, just horrible sounding things. But that's what all the hits were like, so everybody wanted that. And that was probably my least favorite era that we've been in business, but yeah, it's just a product of the time. So for the product of the time, it's a great album, and it has been fun to re-listen to.
Yeah. So there were 2 songs more than others on this one. First one is the second one, Hotel Room. You know, I'm all alone in my hotel room.
Yeah.
It's just, the way he sings it, man, it's just like, it's so fucking catchy. And then the same thing on Drawing Board. Back to the drawing board. And it's just like, I can listen to those 2 songs over and over and over and never get tired of those songs. And even the first track, long days, long nights. It's just, he's so good at songs like that.
Right.
And then
that
Girl for Tonight.
Girl for Tonight. Yeah. That's on my list.
My fourth one is Richard Marxism. One, I love the title. It's brilliant to, use Richard Marx's name in a song title. But it's another one like Drawing Board that's just super catchy. So those are the 4 songs. There's really no misses on this one for me.
Right.
Like, What's the Dealio is the only one that I kind of get tired of just because it's a silly song. And that whole "What's the Dealio?" It's like, I was like, okay, you could have picked a better hook for that one. Like, that one is just, because it has that cool ska, like reggae-ish riff, but that hook is just stupid. Like, it makes me think of like a Hanson song or something. I don't know, but
I do. Speaking of them doing the ska thing, like, I do like the songs where they try to bring in that, like, I like the transitions they do between that reggae ska thing going on in a couple tracks, and I like the more like acoustic-y ones as well. Like, they do a lot of good. I don't want to say like full genre switch ups, but they're good with it.
Yeah. So, do you have any other songs on this one that you kind of want to point out for good or bad, or any notes you want to throw in about the band? Or,
I mean, that's like for Mess, that was like my main. A lot of these I just like I have stories about the bands and like seeing them and stuff, but and why they mean something to me. But like I said, my favorite song on the whole thing is "Forget You." But
yeah, that's a good one.
I think that one's super catchy. But yeah, I mean, it's a overall, it's a great album. It's definitely, I put it as my number 4 on the whole list.
Okay.
I did like kind of like, I don't know if are we ranking these? Is that how it goes?
Not really. I was just going to run down the list from top to bottom because
gotcha. Okay.
I didn't think about, it wasn't really about ranking them so much as just kind of getting it out there for people to say, hey, maybe I hadn't heard this one before.
Let me check it out.
Maybe I have heard this one before, but like you, I ain't listened to it in 5 or 10 years. Let me go check it out again. So the second one on the list should be right up your alley. It's Valencia.
Hometown heroes, baby.
Yes, we all need a reason to believe. I come across this one. I don't even remember. I think this was one of the bands. I was watching a YouTube video, and they always had the videos on the side. It had one of their videos on the side, and it was like, okay, that's Valencia. Like, I know that name. I thought there's a Spanish singer who sounds just like Freddie Mercury with the name of Valencia, except his is SIA. Right. So I thought it was him maybe. And I clicked on it and it started playing and I was like, oh, that's not what I thought it was. But it's kind of catchy though, It had that sound and I was like, okay. So I listened to another video and I was like, hey, let me go check the record out. The record they had just put out a little bit before that was We All Need a Reason to Believe. Shane Henderson is the singer, main songwriter, and incredible ear for hooks, man. Like, one thing about this record is it is full of hooks as far as like the songwriting side. So you being with a Philly background, I'll let you talk about them because you probably know a lot more about them than I do.
When they were coming up, I remember I was in so many bands at the time, and everybody was just super stoked on Valencia. There was like this whole like Philly and Philly surrounding area, like group of bands that people were like really just like hard on. Title Fight was one. Tiger's Jaw, the Erection Kids, who changed their name. I don't know if you remember them, but they changed their name. They were really good, but I'm blanking on who they.
I think I would have remembered them if I would have heard that name.
The Erection Kids.
Yeah.
They did a split with Title Fight, and it was a great split. But they changed their name to. It's going to drive me crazy. I might have to Google it in a minute and just come back to it. But so there was all these bands going on, and then Valencia was one of them. And I remember being in a band with this kid Charlie and another kid CB and Bob, and we're all just like super caught up. I think Charlie's like cousin or somebody like used to get tickets, and we'd go see them all the time. So this is one of those bands that everybody'd go out to, and it'd just be like a huge, just crazy support from like the local kids and everybody singing all the songs. Just a great like young teenage memory for me.
Right.
So that's kind of like, Valencia was my number one on the list. And I don't even think they're my favorite band necessarily, like even, but they just on this list for the nostalgia of going and seeing them and being in the proximity. And this is just like, so it's just such a great album, like Holiday.
Yeah.
Incredible song. One of like such a catchy song.
That's the first one I have on my list.
Dude, great song. What else was on there? Better Be Prepared, Head and Hands. Like the whole album's great.
Yeah.
But there's some absolute bangers on there. But yeah, they were one of those bands.
I have Holiday, Carry On, Safe to Say, and Free.
Great. All great.
Yeah.
They were one of the, like I said, one of those bands, like you don't know what, like, why they just didn't get way bigger, because they also were around the same time as like the Wonder Years, who, speaking of dollar bins, I just grabbed a Wonder Years album at a dollar bin a few days ago. But yeah, the Wonder Years from the area blew up, and Valencia looked like they were going to be like also that level, and then they just kind of died off.
There's so many bands that's kind of their story. Like they were right there, and then it just, the floor fell out, for whatever reason.
I don't get it. Do you remember that band? They're like one of the earlier emo bands, like Breaking Pangea. You got to check them out. People like credit them with being like the godfathers of like modern like emo sound, like Breaking Pangea. But they were like that too. Like they never like fully got above the same level, but they just kind of were there. If you knew, you knew, and then they just died. There's a lot of bands like that. I Would Set Myself on Fire for You, and all these other bands that just got to this level where it's like people are starting to really notice them, and then they're gone. But Valencia was like that. I mean, I don't know. Great nostalgic record. This is an album this album I do keep more in rotation. It's on all my liked playlists, so I'll get a couple of these songs popping in every now and then. But
nice,
awesome. I was hyped when you had it on the list.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a lot of these bands I kind of found just randomly, accidentally. Like I stumbled upon them in some weird way. And wasn't anything that I went looking for intentionally. Only one band on here was something I went looking for intentionally because somebody was wearing their logo on a t-shirt.
Was it like Screeching Weasel or something?
No, it was the Fuck Off and Dice.
Okay. Oh yeah, that'll grab you.
The middle finger thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that is awesome. What is that? And he goes, oh, it's my friend's band from St. Louis. And I was like, what's their name? And he goes, they're called the Fuck Off and Dice. Oh yeah, I don't even care if they're terrible. That's got to be in my rotation, dude. It's just that name alone was like, okay, yeah, that's going in my playlist, and they just happen to be fucking amazing. So the third one on the list, he just mentioned them. I've known this dude, Jesus Christ, for 25 years. I met him during my short term time of writing for Maximum Rock and Roll.
Oh, I didn't even know you wrote for Maximum Rock and Roll.
For a very short time in the 90s, about 2 or 3 months. I was living in Cali at the time. I was going to school, was hired to do a punk rock show on a college radio station. Can we have in-studio guests? Absolutely. Beautiful. Use my contacts. I got Fat Mike in the studio. Show lasted for about 17 minutes before the college president showed up and canceled us because we went completely off the fucking rails and pretty much broke every FCC rule in the book.
Beautiful.
In 17 minutes. And that was that. And because of that infamy in the local area, Mike's like, hey, let me introduce you to this guy who is one of the editors for Maximum Rock and Roll. Beautiful. So he's like, do you want to write music reviews? Would love to. So I started writing music reviews. And that is how I met Ben Weasel from the band Screeching Weasel, which was another band. When I saw the title or I saw the band's name, I remember the week distinctly for one reason. I got 3 CDs that week. One was Screeching Weasel, How to Make Enemies and Irritate People. The second band that I got was the Queers. The third band I got was the Diesel Dykes. And I thought to myself, wow, that's a hell of a set of names for band. Like I could have drawn any of 1,000 demos and records that they had laying around in boxes, and I got assigned these 3. And my only reasoning was, okay, this had to be something that nobody else wanted. Like this got dumped on me because nobody else wanted it. So I ran with it. And the Screeching Weasel, How to Make Enemies and Irritate People, kind of my motto for life. Like I'm great at making enemies and I'm great at irritating people. So it's sort of become this almost like theme record for me. And even though it may not be the greatest record in a lot of people's eyes, there's something about this record, whether it's the sarcasticness or the tongue-in-cheekness, that just kind of endears it to me. Ben's sort of the consummate punk rock guy. You have the fact that their bass player had quit right before they recorded this. So they hired Mike from Green Day to do all the bass parts. And Green Day had just released Dookie, so they were blowing up. So Mike could only record at certain times. So this entire record was recorded in like 4 days of that. And it was recorded in Ben's basement. Their producer brought his studio equipment to the basement so they could record this thing in their basement. So again, time period, the fact that it was recorded in the basement but doesn't sound completely dated and terrible are all things that, make me love this record. Also, the fact when they released it, it had a fake song track listing on the back. Because of some of the titles of the songs, they put up track titles that were similar but not the actual track titles, which is a very Ben Weasel thing to do if you've ever get a chance to meet Ben. It's totally in his character. So, with all that said, feel free to share any opinions or whatever you may have.
I have nothing bad to say. I've always loved Screeching Weasel. That was, I don't know if you're familiar with it's kind of like Amazon for punk rock CDs and vinyl. Interpunk?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, like Interpunk was the thing. So my best friend's older brother was like super into punk rock. And, so I just would go order like different albums just to like find stuff. And Screeching Weasel just off the logo grabbed me. That was it. It was like, I love this. Like, I think I bought like a patch, which I believe is on my jacket still. I took it off of like my old punk rock vest and put it on a new jacket because it's just such a great patch. I think I ordered a patch before I even got their CD. Like, I got the patch and self-titled. So that was like my first introduction to them. And just incredible. I mean, that song, Freddie met the microwave, about microwaving his hamster. It's like, what? Like, I'll never forget. Or that jock punk song,
Yeah.
which I related to because, like, throughout my life, you know, I kind of had gotten to a point when I first was really into punk rock where I had the pink mohawk and the studded vest and all that. You know, I wore the punk rock uniform. And then I really started kind of like getting out of like the uniform aspect of it, and really I got really big into like hardcore and, you know, Gorilla Biscuits, Minor Threat, Black Flag, and you know, a lot of the more modern hardcore, or modern, I mean, still 2000s, Chain of Strength, the 80s through 2000 stuff. And I just kind of wore like a band t-shirt and like shorts. So I kind of felt like I fit the jock punk description a little bit, but I still, great song.
Yeah, I got into punk through hardcore.
Right.
When I got sent to California to live with my mom, it was in 1983, right as hair metal was blowing up. Mom's apartment was 2 blocks off of Sunset Strip.
Right.
So I
immersed
in it. And then I come home with this big ass suitcase of all of this music. It was all shit that I recorded off of KNAC and KLLS, all the Grim Reaper and Armored Saint and Alcatraz and Keel and, you know, Hollywood Rose before they become Guns N' Roses and all this shit. And none of that had reached the Midwest yet. They were, you know, back on the farm where Dad lived, they were still listening to Thriller, Prince, Cyndi Lauper, you know, Casey Kasem's top 40 type of shit. So when I drug this suitcase home and started going to school with all of these t-shirts and all of this stuff, everybody was like, what are you listening to? Oh, this band called Alcatraz. I'm listening to, you know, Grim Reaper. And my friends would listen to it, you know, see you in hell. And my friends are just like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome. So I sort of become like this musical drug dealer.
Yeah, you were the ambassador of all.
Yeah,
things
like Ice-T sings about in "I'm Your Pusher." I was giving away these like mixtapes I had recorded off the radio with all these LA bands, and my cousin goes to his dad's house. His dad lived in Chicago, and come home one weekend from his dad's house, and he had this fucking giant mohawk, and my auntie lost her shit. You can't live in my house if you got a goddamn mohawk, blah, 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 blah. And they started fighting. So he went upstairs, slammed the door. I went up behind him. He turned the radio on. And it was the most unholy thing I'd ever heard. I was like, what the fuck are you listening to? Oh, it's this band my friend told me about. And I bought the record before I come home. And he threw it at me. And I looked at it and it said Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. And I was like, that's fucking cool.
Another great logo.
I got this other one too, and he throws that one at me. It was like GBH.
Oh man!
So those were my first 2 punk records that I got into. But then I kind of gravitated towards other stuff like Black Flag and Minor Threat, and you know, and then I got into like I heard the Dictators, and I heard stuff that was a little bit more pop punkish, or I guess maybe mainstream punkish, not hardcore, but. Yeah, hardcore was pretty much my introduction to the punk side of things. I knew the Ramones and the Sex Pistols. I've always hated the Sex Pistols.
Well, I mean, they were like a boy band of the...
Yeah, like so fucking terrible. Like,
right.
People talk about the Sex Pistols like, oh, it's like, dude, you know, they're fucking terrible. Like, at least the Ramones were musical. You know, like, I don't like all the Ramones stuff, but at least they had a sense of humor.
I love like the later Ramon stuff. A lot of people don't give it credit. Like
Mondo Bizarro,
Airwaves, and Pet Cemetery. And,
Mondo Bizarro, that fucking record was so good.
Great.
Pet Cemetery.
I love that stuff. People really hate, like, if you liked like earlier Ramon stuff, which I also do like I'm getting my daughter into that stuff now, but a lot of people just like didn't care for that stuff. But yeah, I thought it was great. But with the going back to that too, like you mentioned, first you mentioned DRI, another amazing logo that'll just grab you.
Yeah,
and GBH, yeah, exactly. GBH also, like, artwork wise, great artwork. Every album has great artwork. But Screeching Weasel, great artwork, great logo. This particular record, I mean, Planet of the Apes, like, great, like, that's a great song. what else is on here? Oh, Degenerate.
Yeah.
Kathy Isn't Right. Nobody likes like all that.
Nobody likes you. I hate your
Yeah,
guts on Sunday.
I love that. Like perfect song. This
Burnout
again,
Girl.
this might not be my like go-to Screeching Weasel album every
Right.
time, but it's a great album. It's got that like super 90s punk rock feel to it. It kind of it reminds me a lot of like that early Fat Wreck stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Alpha
they,
X.
they they essentially had broken up at that point,
Right.
and three of them turned around and formed the Riverdales,
Right.
which was just Ramones sounding stuff. So it's fucking, god damn it. So yeah, like I said, I don't think this is the best Screeching Weasel. Like I said, it may not even be anybody's favorite per se, but it's just one of them records I sort of have an affinity for because of how I came about it and whatnot. And I remember, exactly when I got it and what I got it with and all of that. And, I didn't last long at Maximum Rock and Roll because apparently I didn't write fast enough and I wasn't punk enough. Apparently the editor told me I was too metal to write punk, that I should write reviews for Metallica and Exodus.
That's
which
crazy.
was probably true because I am much more metalhead than a punk guy probably. But, I still love punk as well. So
I've been in a couple. I have two bands I was in that was on the cover of Maximum Rock and Roll. One was this band Extra Tongue, and we were a weird, weird band. And then when I was in Fruit Punch, we also got not a feat like the Extra Tongue one. We were more of a feature, but on the Fruit Punch review, it was just like Fruit Punch also on this this one. But I got both of those framed up in the studio. The Extra Tongue one had it was all I forget the Dicks were on the big story. It was about the Dicks, which great, Texas punk rock.
yeah.
Them, MDC, all those bands. So, but yeah, anyway, I do have some connection with Maximum Rock and Roll. Just it was just a cool magazine. Are they still going?
I don't know. Like I want to say they are, but I don't know. I've heard that they are, but I haven't seen
cool.
I haven't seen anything.
It's got to be hard
really
these
hang out
days.
any place that would carry it per se.
Right.
Because I know, back in the day it was like just the thin paper.
It's still thin paper. Or at least 10 years ago when we were in it.
Yeah. So the next band from Petaluma, California, one of the female fronted bands on this list.
Oh yeah.
The band Tsunami Bomb.
Love Tsunami Bomb.
The first, so they're still around. They broke up, got back together. They have a newer singer now. The original singer was H&M, and she is a synthwave artist now. She's still really good, but is definitely not punk anymore.
Is her band? She was in another band, The Action Design. Are they still around?
No. Well, yeah. So Action Design is what she's in now, but now she formed it with one of the other guys from Tsunami Bomb, and then he retired, and she took it, and it's just completely like synthwave pop now.
Oh, okay.
She kind of went in almost like a Ollie Murs type of vein.
I have to check out some of the new stuff.
But it's I like it. Like I love synthwave. Synthwave is one of those things that my affinity for synthwave is, synthwave is either going to be really good or really bad. There's not a lot of middle ground with synthwave.
Right.
For example, you get some that is just kind of there and it just sounds like noise. But then you'll get the bands like Scandroid or Dance with the Dead that do like really fucking awesome shit. And then it's like, okay, this is really cool because I'm a massive, massive fan of Clayton, whether it's Cell Dweller, Scandroid, Circle of Dust. The guy's just a fucking genius. Anyways, Tsunami Bomb had a record called The Ultimate Escape. She really was one of the few females that I really enjoyed in punk. I find that a lot of female singers in punk and new modern rock, new metal, they're just kind of derivative. The Lacey Sturms of the world and the Emily Armstrongs, they just sound alike to me. And there's nothing to set them apart. Then every once in a while, you'll get a Lizzie Hale, where she's got that grit in her voice, that power that kind of puts her a little above. And that was the thing with Tsunami Bomb, is she had a little bit more punch to her voice, especially on songs like Headlights on a Hand Grenade.
That's on my list.
El Diablo were, pretty massive songs. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. You can throw in your thoughts on them, but it's just one of them records that, as far as the bands that had female singers, this one stands heads and shoulders above the majority of the others.
I love Tsunami Bomb. This isn't, I mean, my favorite Tsunami Bomb record is Invasion from Within. I think that album is just, it just, every song on that album is like a hit to me. But this is a great album. Russian Roulette is probably my favorite song on here. Headlights on a Hand Grenade, also great. El Diablo, great. I think the album's chock full of very catchy riffs.
Yeah.
It has my favorite thing in any kind of pop punk or punk rock record, gang vocals. It's chock full of gang
Yeah.
vocals. Like that, I think they do it so well too. I also love the like female to male back and forth that they did on both of those albums, like really well. Yeah, I think it's a great record. This is just like a super fun one. It can have like some really heavy riffs at times
Yeah.
and feel like almost like a hardcore record with just like a really straightforward driving, drum beat to it, like a nice tight groove. I did in my notes, which I don't think I ever really paid attention to, is I think the recording on Invasion from Within is better too. This one has more of like the recording of the guitars like take up like so much of the headroom in the mix, where I just find it to be overpowered. I think that's a stylistic choice from the engineer, so I'm not gonna be mad. It's like, hey, I like guitar, I'm gonna put them loud in the mix. That's really it. It's not like they sound bad; they sound good.
You could tell with Tsunami Bomb from the first record to like the newest one, you could tell the learning curve in them. Like as they got older and learned more and toured more, you could tell it resulted in, just them putting that towards better sounding, catchier songs, all that kind of stuff. That's one thing I will say about them is they have aged well.
Oh yeah.
In taking what they've learned over the years and put it towards being a better band. So next one on the list.
I feel like we're going, or probably me, I'm a talker, so probably doing more. This is going to be like a little longer than I thought. I'll try to shorten it up.
Yeah, no, we're good.
My bad, bro.
I'm trying to get to them pretty quick. There's a couple of them we're going to go through pretty quick. Next one on the is one of the ones that I listened to a ton. This is right up there with the Mess for me. It is a band from Jacksonville, Florida called Whole Wheat Bread.
Hell yeah.
They have 2 records and a bunch of EPs. This one is called Hearts of Hoodlums. They actually formed as a rap group and then turned to punk. They've contributed music to Little John and tons of other rappers, including doing an EP with Murs called Whole Wheat Bread, and Murs are the Invincibles, which is a great record if you can get your hands on it, but it's hard to get your hands on. This one, because there are so many musical styles on this fucking thing. Like 1 minute he's doing reggae, and then he's doing punk, and then he's doing
hip hop,
like a rapcore thing, and they really just, and not that it matters, but you got to have respect for 4 black dudes playing punk music. Like you just don't see it enough,
right?
Obviously you had Bad Brains, and Funkadelic dabbled in it a little bit.
Death.
You had Death, and now you have more bands. You have Radkey and Magnolia Park and different ones. But when this come out at that time, I can't think of another band that was entirely black playing punk music other than Bad Brains. So this one kind of stuck with me because there's a couple songs on there that I want to get a kick out of. Girlfriend Like This. The lyrics to that song make me laugh. I don't care if it burns when I piss. You ain't never had a girlfriend like this. Those lines just to me are like pure punk, because only a punk band would sing about having a fucking STD.
Right.
Throw Your Sets Up is really cool just because it's got that vibe.
On my list as well.
Lower Class Man, I love
awesome.
because it has that reggae vibe. And then Stuck in the Dark is the last track. And that one has Murs on it. And that's one that Murs is somebody who does not get nearly enough fucking credit as a hip hop artist. So those are the 4 songs that I had. And if you've never heard this record, if you're a listener, you've never heard this record, I promise you, this is a fun record. Like they don't take themselves too seriously. There's serious messages in here, but they do it in a way that doesn't come across as preachy or overbearing.
Right. Yeah, I've always been a big fan. I've opened for them a couple times in
Oh,
different
that's so
bands.
cool.
So I've met them. Really cool guys. From that time, I remember the first time I saw them. I think it was with the Bouncing Souls or somebody
Yeah,
like that.
they toured with
And
them.
yeah, and I was pretty young, and I just thought it was crazy because they're up there and they're like 90. Being from Philly, there was always a pretty good like mix of like black kids into punk rock, but it's still mostly like a white thing, I guess.
Right.
So, but they would always try to get all like, if you're white, you could say the N word on this song, and like they would always do that
Yeah.
live, and it would just be like a crazy thing to see, and like just like this room full of people doing it. So like fun, they were always so fun live. I remember seeing them on a really weird tour. It was my favorite time ever seeing them. They opened the tour, they did a whole tour. It was them, Madball, and Suicidal Tendencies.
Oh,
That
no,
was
that would have been a killer fucking show.
yeah.
I love Madball.
I love Madball too. New York hardcore, baby. Let's go. But no, that was a crazy tour because it was like none of those bands should tour together, but they did, and it worked so well. But this album, I love this album. I love both their albums. Minority Rules feels more like a pop punk album, but
Right.
this one I think is musically better. Like Minority Rules, Old Man Samson, yeah, like that. Like
Yeah.
it has so many like catchy, just sing along pop punk, like in the
Yeah.
bar songs. But this one is like they really came together as musicians. I mean, Bombs Away, just incredible song. I
Yeah.
love Bombs Away. I remember when I don't even remember what year it was, but I remember when that video came out and it was like, wow, this is like way different than the last album, but really good. And then they had like Lil Jon and stuff. Like they were messing with Lil Jon and a lot of like rappers
Yeah.
on here.
Yeah, because they did all the music for his crunk rock.
Right. So
record.
yeah, I'm a huge fan of them. I think
awesome.
they put something out like not too long ago.
Yeah, it was an EP. It was like, I think it was called like Punk Life 2 or something.
Yeah, I haven't heard it, but I need to check it out. I just remember seeing something about it, but
Yeah.
I need
One
to
of the
get in.
craziest shows I ever saw, one of the most off the wall shows. The only time I ever went to CBGB's, it was Agnostic Front and Madball.
Mm,
And they had a band, I can't remember if they were from Philly or from Boston, but they were called Malachi Crunch.
G Crunch.
And they were a hardcore band like Agnostic Front. And the three bands just like it was so obnoxiously fucking loud in there, like more so than normal. And Malachi Crunch was so fast and so fucking heavy. And then of course Madball come on and blah blah blah. And then Agnostic Front came on and just completely fucking proceeded to level the joint because Agnostic Front is so fucking great live.
Oh yeah.
I fucking love those guys.
Yeah, they're great live for sure.
So, in the sake of time, next one on the list.
My bad, bro.
No,
sorry.
you're good. You're good. No, I'm just saying, I don't want to spend like 6 hours.
No, I know.
This one, we're going to go over this one real quick because this is probably my least favorite on it. But I love the fact that this one is probably one of the only ones on here that's actually a pure punk record. There's not a lot of pop punk element.
Are we going to oxymoron here?
Oxymoron. It's called Fuck the 90s, Here's Our Noise. They're a band from Germany. They were street punk and oi and had a rockabilly edge. They were street punk with a stand-up bass, basically. And they were just, there's not a lot of subtleties to this record. It's just punk. It's street punk. So if you're into bands like The Descendants or The Street Dogs or Chaos War, this is your type of record. Dead End Generation, Fuckers Everywhere, Mohican Tunes, and Nuclear War are like 4 of the songs on this record that just, are as punk can be, basically. It's, when I think punk, this is the type of band I think of. 'Cause,
Right.
Like I said, there's no hooks, there's no subtleness with this one. It's just straight punk music, It's
Right.
It's that Circle Jerks, Minor Threat type of punk, man. Like,
They definitely were one of the bands when I was a kid. My good friend at the time, Jordan Gamble, if he ever listens to this, he's getting a shout out. He he was really into all the like British invasion stuff and the
Mhm.
Euro stuff. So I mean, the Exploited and GBH and
Yes.
all those bands, the Verukers. Speaking of Germany, the Verukers, and yeah,
Yeah.
Oxymoron. So it's like that. This is a band I've known probably since I was 12 years old, and I never really had associated them with like pop punk, but they definitely are. It's very
Yeah.
simple. It's simple, just like 3-4 chord songs.
Yeah, like I wouldn't call them pop punk at all. I mean, they're not pop punk at all. I mean, they're street punk.
Right.
You
Like
know,
a first wave European street punk.
yeah. Well, and it has that sort of oi.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So but it's one of them records. I think it's another record that I found in a bin somewhere, and I like the name Oxymoron. Okay, that's a cool name, and and then the title was "Fuck the '90." Here's our noise, and I was like, okay, this is either going to be like really punk or it's going to be a hip hop thing, and I wasn't sure at the time, but I figured it was going to be a punk thing with songs like "Fuckers Everywhere" and "Nuclear War." I didn't really see those being hip hop songs per se, but so next band on the list. This is a band that I love. I don't listen to them nearly enough, but this is a band that they're so different than every other band on this list. What they do, they're a Chicago area band. They are basically chiptune punk. It's punk rock for the geeks. This is what this is. This is punk rock for the video game nerds. Live performances include band members performing instruments created from game controllers run through emulators. It is the band I Fight Dragons. The record is called Welcome to the Breakdown. It's an EP. There's so many great records after this. But one of the great things, it is not on this record, but they have a Rick Roll Mario theme mashup. And I will play it randomly just to mess with my youngest one because he's a video game nerd. And he'll get all serious in the thing. And then I'll turn it on. And he'll stop. And he'll be like, really? That's what we're doing today, Dad? So, and they're again, Chicago area. Other cool thing about it, this one has their cover of Power of Love from Huey Lewis. And I love Huey Lewis. It's such a cool sort of chiptune punk cover. And they also have a cool song called She's Got Sorcery, which they have songs like The Geeks Will Inherit the Earth, and I think I Fight Dragons, Save the Universe, something like that. All of their songs are very geek oriented.
Right.
So I always tell people, if you want to know what this band sounds like, if the guys from Big Bang Theory ever formed a punk band, it would probably be I Fight Dragons.
They kind of, to me, they sound like if Motion City Soundtrack merged with Zoloft the Rock and Roll Destroyer.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you ever heard that, but they that just like that poppy, like geeky, synth forward sound. Like I love it. I think it's a great album. And again, just the title track, the Welcome to the Breakdown, is like so catchy. It's like you can't listen to like 10 seconds of the song. You're just you're doing the synth part and then singing it. It's great.
And I love that they have taken old game controllers and emulated them into actual instruments.
Right.
I've seen these guys live at Comic Cons.
Really? That's their like go-to thing?
Not necessarily, but they do play at certain ones. We had a Comic Con here about 5 or 6 years ago, and they played. And they were up there. They had the Dance Revolution pad. Nice. They had that thing. They had the Power Glove, thing. They had the Guitar Hero things. I mean, they had all of this chipped out and emulated through these MacBooks. And it was, the geek in me was happy seeing them stand up there and play the Mario theme on a Power Glove. It was just, there's something about that originality that, you don't see it.
No, that's awesome.
In any genre, let alone punk, And they really are super cool. I got a chance to talk to the singer and the one girl in the band who does the Power Glove thing, and I had to tell them that was a highlight for me of the whole.
Oh yeah, I'd be stoked on that to see it live.
I think they're on hiatus right now, but they'll make a comeback. They do that every few years just to kind of, and they always do cool shit. So, anything else to add?
No, I think that's it. Like I said, my biggest thing about them. If you like Motion City and you like Zoloft, you'd
Yeah,
like this band a lot.
cool.
Definitely check them out.
The next record.
Oh, yeah, this one's a great one.
Yeah. So I'm walking through the store one day and I see this guy come around the corner and he's got on a black t-shirt and this is a big middle finger with a lightning bolt thing circular. It's like the Ghostbusters team, but with a middle finger. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. What is that? I was like, I gotta have that shirt. And oh, it's my buddy's band from St. Louis. What's their name? Oh, they're called the Fuck Off and Dies. Immediately grabbed my phone and was like, okay, yep, that's got to go on my playlist. I don't even care if they're terrible. With a name like that, I just got to have it there just to fuck with people. It was their first record. The Fuck Off and Dies. The second record is called Dear Liver. I wrote, they like to drink and say fuck. What more can you ask for? Now, the first record, super catchy. The whole concept of the record is every single song basically has fuck in the title. They turn it into an art form. The second one, Dear Liver, they didn't do it with every song, but every song has the word fuck in it, just not in the title.
The ones with fuck in the title, though, are all on my top lists.
Yeah.
Those are the best ones.
A band called the Fuck Off and Dies has no right to be as disgustingly catchy as these guys are. Like, they could take a song like Abso-fucking-lutely and just turn it into a super catchy song. And it's like, okay, you shouldn't be nearly as good as you are. I want to hold a birthday party. My birthday is on 4/20. So I have intentions at some point of having a 4/20 birthday party, and these guys are going to be my headliner. I'm going to hire them and bring them up here to play because what better headliner for a 4/20 birthday bash than for a guy that loves to say fuck than a band called the Fuck Off and Dies.
Have them do the song "Let's Fucking Party" like 300 times. Just loop it.
Yeah. I'll steal your whiskey, we'll steal your beer.
Dude, I mean, every song is literally this is my favorite thing about them, like especially this record. Like, because while sonically they sound like Big Wig, a Wilhelm Scream, No Use for a Name, like all those like punk rock bands that you think of, like very similar sounds sonically. Lyrically, it's like it's no politics, it's no social commentary.
It's just completely juvenile.
Yeah, it's just like it's everything that punk rock does and does not stand for. It's like fuck the system, but so much so you're not even talking about it. You're just like, I just want to get drunk and fuck this girl. That's literally every song. It's like, she's gonna come fuck us because we're partying. It's like,
if Deadpool ever wrote a punk record,
right,
it would be Dear Liver.
I mean, the thing on this song, like Dying to Fuck, these are my favorites. Although it's like Totally Fuck, Dying to Fuck, Motherfucker, Get Fucked, Fuck It. Like, they're all just great songs. So this is a, again, just
Fuck It is my favorite one.
Dude, that such a good song.
So disgustingly catchy.
It's catchy, and again, like musically, it's fucking great. And it's just like, it's almost like if you were like, look, I don't want to say it's like almost like disappointing that they're so musically talented and just songs that are just like, fuck it, I don't care. But it's also like really fun. It's good.
It's party
fun.
music.
It's party music, right? Now, if they decided to, though, they could drop like the most amazing album and play with all those bands I mentioned earlier, and just be right up there with them. But because of their name and all the song titles and lyrics, they may never get the same commercial success as some of these other bands. But it is really fun, just a good romp.
Yeah, like I said, I downloaded it, the first record, and I was shocked by how it was when I looked at the track list. I laughed at first and I was like, okay, this is going to be like a hardcore type of thing or like an anal cunt type of thing is what I thought. But some of the songs, like If You CK, is where he's basically talking about his ex-girlfriend stealing his Bounce and Soul CD. It's If You CK, tell that bitch she can fuck off and die. I was like, okay, the band title and the song title, they don't have any right being this fucking catchy and talented. And like you said, if they were to get serious about it, they could easily compete with Green Day or Blink 182, any of those guys on a musical level. But my favorite songs I have But Fuck It, Time Travel. I have Time Traveling just because of the Back to the Future references. Dear Liver.
Yeah, that was the Doc. He's talking about like getting so fucked up that he's Doc Brown. Yeah, that's a great song.
We don't need no fucking DeLorean.
Yeah.
Dear Liver. He's basically, it's a love letter to his liver. Like, sorry, I mistreated you last night, but get over it because we're going to do it again tonight. And then Because You're Gone is another one that shouldn't be nearly as catchy as it is. So if you want a good pop punk record that is just very tongue in cheek, is guaranteed to piss off the neighbors. They have two really good full length records, and they have a Christmas EP.
I have not heard the Christmas EP.
Oh, the Christmas one. Oh, let me look this up real quick.
I had to play this around the fire as I open presents with the kids. I'm sure it's ridiculous.
The Fuck Off and Dies. It's called Merry Fucking Christmas, and it has Merry
Sounds
Fucking
about right.
Christmas. Grandma got run over by a reindeer, but it's their take on it. Grandma got us drunk off of one beer, wandered out into the snow. Something. They have Deck the Bars, and then Friday Night. All 4 songs are about 6 minutes long, of over 4 songs. It's a good Christmas record in the sense of just, you break the monotony and kind of piss off everyone and shock your mom and dad because, Merry fucking Christmas. But next one on the list, we have 2 more. Another Chicago area band. This was one that I found in a store.
Another dollar band?
No, this was actually the only one that I ever went looking for because I saw a video and I was like, hey, these guys are really fucking awesome. And I want the record. It's a band called Alistair, Last Stop Suburbia. I heard the song somewhere on Fullerton and I was like, holy shit, that's an amazing fucking song. I got to hear the rest of the record. It came out, before Spotify and all that type of shit. So you didn't really have a way to listen to it like you do now. It's disgustingly catchy pop punk that basically takes a Green Day formula and just amps it up to the max.
Right.
So if you like songs like Basket Case, they do that, but even catchier, even better. They're just every song in this record, man. Flypaper, Somewhere on Fullerton, None of My Friends Are Punks, Better Late Than Forever.
Flypaper is probably the best song on the album, in my opinion. It's
right.
Musically, it's so good. It's very catchy. It's just a standout track. I mean, and speaking on the Green Day thing, there's some songs like Overrated. It literally feels like it could have been a Green Day song.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that about Somewhere on Fullerton. Like,
right.
To me, that strikes me as that could have been a Good Charlotte or a Green Day song.
Right.
Like, it just has that vibe of those two bands.
The album, like, it has like that quintessential 2000s pop punk sound.
Yeah.
So when did this come out? Like 2000 or 1 or something?
2003, I think.
Okay. It feels like that. It literally has everything I would want from a pop punk album from 2003. You know what I mean? Like anything in that, it's catchy. I mean, my favorite songs are definitely Flypaper, Race Cars, Scratch. Like those are the best ones on the again, in my opinion. Right. But it has that, like, this is a band I never got to see live, but it has that just like classic. It's kind of like Movie Life. I don't know if you're familiar with the Movie Life. Great band. Definitely check them out. But it has that kind of vibe. Like they could have easily been as big as the Movie Life became. But
well, I know the drummer and the bass player, after they broke up originally, they formed the OK Go.
Okay.
And then the bassist moved to Japan and has recorded like a dozen records in Japan of random shit. He did a song for song pop punk version of Thriller by Michael Jackson.
That's awesome.
He turned Thriller basically into a pop punk record. And he's done like video game music and all kinds of shit. Apparently he speaks fluent Japanese. At least I'm going to assume he does because he lives in Japan and appears on Japanese shows and does music there. And Japan's not English friendly. At least the 2 times I've been there, I've never found it to be English friendly. So yeah, that's Alistair. Another record that if you get your hands on it, and they've done like 5 or 6 records, they're still around. All the records are really good, but this is the one that I went looking for this one because of Somewhere on Fullerton, and it was just song after song. There's no bad songs on this record to me.
No, I agree with that.
It's a great record.
If you like stuff from if you like pop punk, again, like some of that mid, like I guess like because they've been around forever since the early '90s. If you like some of the same era of like MXPX and some of these other like pop punk bands from that time, you're gonna like this. Yeah. Oh, dude, early Newfound Glory stuff was awesome. They're like. They tour with just like hardcore bands too. They do that. Bridge 9 put out one of their albums that was awesome, Newfound Glory. But yeah, so if you like a lot of that stuff, like I said, the movie life, any of that kind of stuff, you'll like this record. This is definitely one you should go check out.
Yep. And the last band on the list, I discovered them through a video game. One of their songs is in a video game. I don't remember which video game, but it was in a video game, and I saw the title, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to look them up because the name of the band was called World War Me. And I thought, that's a cool name. Like, I like that, like World War Me.
They're also from Chicago, right?
Yeah. Yes. When doing this list, I discovered that the majority of these bands were from Chicago, and I didn't realize it at the time when I made this list. I knew a couple of them were, but I didn't realize like so many of them were from Chicago. So World War Me has a self-titled record. Again, kind of goes back and forth between a faster punk and a pop punk style. So you kind of get to pick and choose with this one. One of the records that has the coolest logo, the little kid holding the bomb in his hand
it's like a stencil, like graffiti or something. Yeah,
like a graffiti stencil type of thing. Would make a killer tattoo that, people would look at it and be like, oh, that's really cool, and you have no fucking idea what it actually was. So you could pretty much make up anything about it because very few people would probably know what it actually was. Favorite songs for me, Don't Hold Your Breath, Break a Leg Kid, That's So Yesterday, which to me, That's So Yesterday kind of reminds me of The Marvelous Three a little bit. Like it has that Butch Walker vibe to it. And then Warzone.
Warzone is my favorite one.
Yeah, one of those ones. It's a little faster. It's a little more punk oriented. But, it has that more of I guess like a Bad Religion style to it than it does like a pure pop punk. But anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of like, to me, who they really reminded me of, and nobody really knows this record because it was before they were huge, but My Chemical Romance, before they were this huge band, their first album was very like punk. And they kind of remind me of that. I remember actually seeing My Chemical Romance's first Philly show, and they opened up for the Casualties and the Bouncing Souls and Strike Anywhere. And it was like, who's this band? They were like the first band.
The Casualties.
yeah. So it was just like the Casualties were the headliner, then it was Strike Anywhere, then it was Bouncing Souls, and then it was My Chemical Romance. And I remember them coming on, and I actually thought they sucked. I was like, this band sucks. And that was like my first impression, which I have another similar story about that band Against Me, who also blew up. But yeah, I saw them in like I saw them in like a South Philly basement. I was like, this band sucks. And I walked out. The next year I saw them at like they opened for like World Inferno Friendship Society, I think. And I was like, oh, this is that band that sucks. And I walked out. The next year they're fucking playing stadiums. But it was like that with My Chemical Romance. Like they were just like out of nowhere, the biggest band in the world. I was like, that's that band we booed at the Electric Factory. But they kind of sound like that. Like they have that kind of like My Chemical Romance, Sum 41, that era of like pop punk that was, really huge at the time. But for me, my favorite songs, I love Warzone. The title track, World War Me. I really like the thing they did with like the radio vocals on here, just that like radio EQ effect. I kind of overuse that sometimes myself. So Fire and Flames, but Break a Leg Kid. Yeah, this is a good record if you like that kind of stuff. It's that late. It kind of has like what we were just talking about mixed with like the late 2000s recording techniques, and it sounds pretty good. So
Yeah,
that's all I got to say about that.
cool. So that is 10 pop punk records that I adore. Hopefully, as a listener, you take something away from this. As always, feel free to, I know I don't normally throw this out there, but the email is riotonthesetmedia@gmail.com. That is RIOTONTHESET media@gmail.com. Feel free to email and tell me what you think, good, bad, indifferent. I take all criticism to heart because I don't claim to be right. I only claim to be knowledgeable. So if there's something you discovered off this list that you think is awesome, say thank you. If there's something on this list that you absolutely hate, then say, hey, fuck off and die, But as always, if you want to be a guest, you can email me, same email. We'll give you top 10 lists of everything. We do have the Mosh Pit Manifesto coming soon. We just got to work out a couple little legal things as far as trademarks, logos, and that kind of stuff, because we are going to do a merch line for this one. But with that said, be well, treat each other with kindness, and remember that music heals.